Now at 6 and streaming on CrossroadsToday.com, a Victoria man in custody on charges of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon.
A plane crash leaves no survivors near San Angelo, what officials say happened in the final moments.
And President Joe Biden urges Israel to stop bombing civilians as Israel continues to lose international support.
Well, the shower activity is just beyond the horizon, folks. Here we are. Here's Goliad, and you can see the line of showers already moving in. This is what we promised you. But the good news that it's not going to be as heavy a rainfall. It will be wet tonight, and we'll be talking about that and taking a look at your weekend coming up.
Plus, your Athlete of the Week played last night, and it goes hand in hand with some highlights from last night. I'll have that in sports.
You're watching 25 News now at 6. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Don Brubaker.
And I'm Karina Garcia. A couple from Mexico faces charges of money laundering. Fayette County deputies say they found $109,000 in cash around the woman who was the passenger in an SUV. Deputies pulled the couple over on I-10 westbound at mile marker 663. 45-year-old Efrain Guadalupe Hernandez Laurel and his wife, 34-year-old Adriana Perez Valencia, are in custody. The couple's son was also in the vehicle and was released to family members.
Victoria police arrested 36-year-old James Lozano Thursday afternoon in the 1700 block of Azalea Street. Lozano was arrested on drug possession charge and taken into custody on an arrest warrant for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Lozano is in the Victoria County Jail in lieu of $100,000 bond. Cuero ISD reports 2 students at Cuero Junior High knowingly consumed THC gummies Thursday. Both students had an adverse reaction. An ambulance was at the junior high. Cuero ISD reports both students are now stable.
And now let's take a look at your forecast with Chief Meteorologist Mac Perez. Mac, tonight is our Christmas party. What kind of weather can we expect? What kind of shoes, what kind of clothes should I be wearing tonight?
Well, that's a lot of questions.
Yeah, I gotta know.
Wear the old shoes. Wear the old shoes because they might get a little soggy, but otherwise dress up and have a great time. Here's the deal. The rain is coming. Here is the city. You can see this line of showers out to the west and the heavier stuff that is developing out farther west. All of that is rolling into our area. The good news that it'll be gone by midnight, and by tomorrow, things will be looking good. We'll have more on your forecast coming up.
Mac, thank you. The U.S. and Israel are long-standing allies, but there has been a recent shift in their relationship.
Well, President Biden is calling for Israel to enter a lower intensity phase of its war against Hamas. Israeli officials say they won't stop until the terrorist group is destroyed.
The war between Israel and Hamas has left the Gaza region in shambles.
We're still working by the hour to try to get a pause back in place so that hostages can get released.
Over the past few days, there's been protests demanding a ceasefire in cities across the U.S. However, the White House isn't calling for Israel to lay down its weapons, but rather be more cautious about residents in the area.
I want them to be focused on how to save civilian lives, not stop going after Hamas, but be more careful.
National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and other officials Thursday, urging Israel to shift to a more targeted approach in Gaza.
They have a duty to protect their people from this terrorist group. So we understand the difficult nature of that fight. Again, we will continue to expect that they conduct their operations in accordance with the law of armed conflict.
A senior U.S. official tells CNN that the White House wants Israel to adjust to a lower intensity phase of its war within the next few weeks, potentially by the end of the year. Israel, meanwhile, says it's focused on eliminating Hamas.
It is not easy to destroy them. It will take and require a long period of time. It will last more than several months, but we will win and we will destroy them.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
Today, Israel Defense Forces reported they mistakenly killed 3 of their own Israelis held hostage in Gaza. The 3 were apparently targeted after being mistaken as Hamas terrorists. A spokesperson for the IDF says they now believe the 3 men either fled or were abandoned by Hamas terrorists.
Yeah, we're looking into how it happened, how it came about that these hostages were out and trying to understand how that happened, whether it was intentional or by Hamas or whether it wasn't intentional. And what we have told our troops is to exercise additional caution when being confronted with people in civilian clothes.
The number of hostages killed since the start of the Israel-Hamas war is now at 8 people.
And a number of Israeli police officers are now suspended after attacking a Turkish news agency journalist in Jerusalem. Photojournalist Mustafa Al-Karouf was hit by an Israeli officer several times, at one point with the barrel of the rifle. Another Israeli officer put him in a headlock and pinned him down, while another repeatedly kicked his head. The photojournalist was in Jerusalem covering Friday prayers, a prayer Palestinians were prevented from performing at the mosque there and were instead planning to pray on the pavement. The commander of the Israeli border police suspended the officers involved. Officials say there are no survivors after a small plane traveling from Jacksonville in East Texas crashed in West Texas Thursday afternoon. KBUE reports a conversation between the pilot on board and air traffic control minutes before the crash indicates the pilot was planning to land in San Angelo but overshot the runway. The plane was found on a ranch near Cristobal. Authorities say 2 people were on board the plane. None of the victims' identities have been revealed at this time.
3 San Antonio police officers now indicted for the fatal shooting of Melissa Perez. Alfred Flores, Elazar Alejandro, and Nathaniel Villalobos indicted for the June 23 shooting of Perez, who the family says was experiencing a mental health crisis. Following a 6-month-long investigation, the district attorney says that Officer Alejandro and Sergeant Flores will face murder charges, while Officer Villalobos faces a charge of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. The 3 men were arraigned today. In North Texas, people discovered a homemade bomb in a cemetery. People discovered it Thursday morning in McKinney. The Plano Police Bomb Squad determined the object was an improvised explosive device, or known as a homemade bomb. Authorities disposed of it on site. The Collin County Sheriff's Office says there is no current indication of further danger to the public.
The Texas Supreme Court said Friday it will not consider Republican mega donor Kelsey Warren's defamation lawsuit against former Democrat gubernatorial candidate Beto O'Rourke. This comes after a state appeals court dismissed it earlier this year. The Texas Tribune reports the court denied Warren's petition for review without comment. Warren, a Dallas pipeline billionaire, sued O'Rourke, saying he defamed him with his critical comments about his company's windfall profits after the polar plunge in February 2021. The Houston ISD board voted Thursday night unanimously for the designation of a District of Innovation title. The KPRC reports the designation from the Texas Education Agency will allow the district to begin the school year before the 4th Monday in August, adding at least 8 more school days. It also allows Houston ISD to hire high school teachers who do not hold a certification, they just need a bachelor's degree. Every major school district in the Crossroads has the District of Innovation designation. State Representative District 30 Jeannie Morrison is considered by most to be conservative in her views. The Texas Tribune's ranking of state representatives' votes in the legislature this year shows something different. The ranking shows Representative Morrison in the top 20 of Republicans for most liberal voting. 2 years ago, the Texas Tribune had Morrison voting more often just to the right of center. Morrison is not seeking re-election for a 14th term in the House.
The falling of gas prices in Victoria continues. AAA Texas reports the average gas price per gallon in Victoria is $2.54. That's 18 cents lower than it was a month ago and almost $2 less per gallon than the all-time Victoria record set in June of last year. AAA reports the main reasons for the price drop are lower demand and a low cost for oil.
Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell so you can see Crossroads Today on YouTube. And stay with us. An autopsy reveals Matthew Perry's cause of death. That's coming up on 25 News Now at 6.
Also ahead, if you're looking to hit the outdoors this weekend, we have 2 local ideas at Riverside Park. Here's a look at Community Crossroads this weekend. We first sit down with the Texas Zoo, followed by the Salvation Army of Victoria and Cayman Furniture. And then we celebrate Hanukkah with a rabbi from San Antonio, and we end with the Hunter Hadley Quest Foundation.
We didn't know who to call, where to go. My family, our friends, we were day and night trying to find resources and people to assist us to bring Hunter home.
On Friends star Matthew Perry says he died from the acute effects of the drug ketamine. The Los Angeles County Medical Examiner said in the autopsy report released today that Perry also drowned in his jacuzzi, but said that was a secondary factor in his death, deemed an accident. The report says coronary artery disease also contributed. Perry was declared dead at age 54 after being found unresponsive at his home in Los Angeles on October 28th. General Motors self-driving car subsidiary Cruise is firing about 25% of its workforce. The job cuts will impact about 900 of Cruise's full-time staffers, mostly workers in commercial and corporate operations. The company operated cars in Austin. In October, a driverless Cruise vehicle hit a pedestrian in San Francisco who had already been struck by another vehicle and then dragged the pedestrian about 20 feet.
High school students are not using ChatGPT to cheat despite initial fears they would do so. A new study from researchers at Stanford reveals the percentage of high school students who cheat remains statistically unchanged. That's compared to previous years without ChatGPT. The university conducted the anonymous survey among students at 40 U.S. high schools. It found about 60 to 70% of students engaged in cheating behavior in the last month, a number that is the same or even decreased slightly since the start of ChatGPT. And the dog park at Riverside Park, known as Riverside Bark, is now open. It's going to be between the Texas Zoo and the Pump House. Now, this is Skyview 25 over the new park. The park has dog equipment, dog drinking fountains, disposable bag stations, and a smaller fenced-off area for unruly dogs who need some time out. All dogs must be vaccinated and in good health, and keep your four-legged friends on a leash as you enter and leave the park.
The Riverside Duck Pond is now open at Riverside Park. There's seating along the edge of the pond, decorative water fountains with LED lighting, a floating fishing pier, and a gazebo. The duck pond closed in 2018 due to structural damage caused by erosion and Hurricane Harvey. The updated design will prevent erosion. There's now a new retaining wall. There's a floating fishing pier, but no fishing right now. The city is stocking the pond. A $631,000 grant from Texas Parks and Wildlife helped cover the cost of rebuilding the duck pond.
So here is your beer poll this evening. You can scan that QR code on your screen to vote now. The question is, do you plan on going to the new Duck and Dog Park? That is a mouthful at Riverside Park. Yes or no? According to our results, it looks like 54% stand at yes and 46% stand at no. We want to hear from you. Don't forget to come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part. And of course, we're going to have an update on 25 News Now at 10.
Ahead of the holidays, Southwest Airlines is reminding plus-size travelers of its free seat offer. People who cannot comfortably sit within armrests can get an extra seat for free, if available. Southwest asks eligible travelers to alert it ahead of travel and buy 2 seats. Then they can get a refund for the second one. Southwest says the perk is not available on every flight.
Yeah, I don't even fit in some of those seats, so why don't they just make them larger? Anyway, good afternoon, everyone. We are looking at the shower activity. It's just about to come into the city. This is what I've been promising you all week long. It's finally here. Here's Victoria, here's Goliad, here's Cuero, here's a line of showers and one heavy thunderstorm right about there moving through the Cuero area. This is part of the whole complex that's going to be rolling through the area tonight. Yes, it's going to rain tonight, but tomorrow is looking a whole lot better, and we'll be talking about that in just a moment, so stay tuned. We'll be right back.
My favorite holiday song is Jingle Bell, Jingle Bell.
1, 2, 3. Feliz Navidad. Ba, 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 ba.
Santa baby, come put a sable under the tree for me.
Oh yeah, last Christmas I gave you my heart.
And so I was singing, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow.
Masters in this hall?
Masters in this hall, hear me today. Something, something, something.
I think I'm gonna have to go with Silent Night, honestly. That's a classic. Silent Night.
Always cry.
Holy night. That's too good.
Because my favorite Christmas song is the one where it's like, chestnuts roasting by an open fire. But the one with Justin Bieber.
From all of us here at 25 News Now,
Happy Holidays!
Well, good evening, everybody. Temperatures right now running in the mid-60s. It's not particularly cold, but now the rain is coming in and things are going to be changing on us. The frontal system is not too far away, but it's not so much of a cold front. It's more of a wind event. Here we are right about there. You can see this line developing out to the west of us, and that stuff's going to be rolling into the city within the hour or two. So look out for some shower activity. Two good pieces of good news. A, it's moving rapidly, so it's not going to give us as much rain as originally thought. and B, it's gone by tomorrow. So we're going to be dealing with that frontal system coming right through here. You can see how everything's drying up on the other side. It's right at about Austin, San Antonio, so it is coming south and into our area. Obviously, Houston is getting a little bit heavier activity. Certainly right now we haven't had any, but it's not that far away, so we're pretty optimistic that we're going to get some of that. Behind it, we've got a fairly brisk north wind. It's not very cold, just a few degrees cooler, but it will certainly be interesting to see how it clears up very nicely after midnight. Let's take another zoom look, and you can see right about here's Victoria. There you see that line that's developing, and that one particular thunderstorm that is also rolling toward the city. So I imagine that within the hour or so it'll be raining in the city, and it'll be raining until midnight. That's the good news. By midnight, that north wind comes in, and a lot of this is going to blow away. Future Tracker sort of readjusted its view as to how much rain, and basically it's going to keep us under the half-inch mark, so it's not enough rain to cause any kind of flooding problems. And here's Future Tracker. You can see how we start off this evening, and then we roll through tomorrow morning, and by tomorrow morning it's all pretty much gone out of the area, and by Saturday it's going to be gorgeous by Saturday evening. A very lovely couple of days, Saturday and Sunday, because of the brisk north wind. It's not very cold, but it will be dry and quite comfortable in the daytimes, and in the mornings it'll be a little chilly, but not too bad. Overnight lows tonight getting down to about 50 degrees, a little bit cooler. And then you can see how it's in the 40s and 30s up to the north. And then for us, our high tomorrow getting us up to about 61. And then, of course, other areas of the state are not very cold either, only in the low 60s. So it's not much of a cold front. I don't advise you going fishing tomorrow morning. Why? The winds are going to be northerly at 15 to 20 miles an hour. So seas are really kicking up, and rough bay waters around the area. But there's your sunrise and your sunset. So let's take a look at your day planner for those of you in Port Lavaca. Down to 58 tonight and only up to 65 tomorrow. Not exactly cold, but it will be clearing out with that north wind. And then 53 in the Encuero and getting up to 65. So look for sunshine and a brisk north wind and low humidities, but it's not particularly cold. So once this front passes through, your Saturday is going to really improve, be a very nice day. Sunday is going to be spectacular. The winds are still going to be up a little bit on Monday, but decreasing. And look, we've got Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of fairly quiet weather, and that's getting into Christmas. So we're going to be on the mild side as we get in and doing all the wrapping and celebrating. That's your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we do have a QR code. Love for you to scan that and put Crossroads Today on your phone. Here's Karina.
Thank you, Mac. And now here is Zach Brown with your sports.
I will have your athlete of the week and some highlights from last night's big game coming up in sports. Already know the Tidehaven Tigers fell just a bit short of reaching their ultimate goal, but silver, not so bad either. Hundreds of teams would love to be state runner-ups. Tidehaven scored 14 points, and this week's Athlete of the Week scored both of them. Coming out of that tunnel before the game began, and they had a huge crowd there cheering them on. After a defensive slugfest throughout the first quarter, Joseph Dodds finally broke one down the sideline. The Baylor commit would be brought down just short of the goal line after a penalty knocked them back. Kel Russell said, I'm just going to take care of it. Going to hit the three-star with a pass, and Tidehaven struck first. Got it done with his legs. He's got hands as well. At that point, it was 7-0 Tide. Gunner would score 17 unanswered and looking for more, but just when the game almost got away early, they did what they said they would do. Feed Joseph Dodds. 61 yards to the house. That would make it a 3-point game at the half. Now the Tigers did, in the end, fall just a bit short of a title, but they did take El Maton on a ride they hadn't experienced since 1980. Joseph Dodds scored both touchdowns, which makes him your Athlete of the Week. Well, the Chargers and Raiders took the field for some Thursday night action. Tidehaven would have scored a lot more had they played the Chargers defense. The Raiders scored 21 points in both the first and second quarter, leading 42-0 by the half. Final score in this one was 63-21. LA got 14 garbage time points to make it almost look respectable. And after the game, the Chargers fired head coach Brandon Staley after being a playoff team last year. The Chargers currently sit at 5-9 on the year. The Texans got some bad but not surprising news. Quarterback C.J. Stroud has been listed as doubtful for Sunday's matchup with the Tennessee Titans. With him out, the Texans are looking at being without a lot of their star power on the offensive side of the ball. Tank Dell, who's out for the year, Nico Collins, who remains sidelined, and now C.J. Stroud, maybe no Will Anderson either, and some others. Texans not shaping up well health-wise this week. Thursday, Shohei Ohtani donned his LA Dodgers jersey for the first time. Ohtani is making a major league history in more ways than one. In addition to being the best combination pitcher and power hitter since Babe Ruth, he now owns the richest contract in all of sports. Valued at a staggering $700 million, Ohtani's 10-year deal features an unprecedented financial arrangement. The Japanese phenom will defer more than 97% of his pay until the end of his deal. The Dodgers have not only landed the best player in baseball, but are paying him almost nothing for the next decade. That leaves the powerful franchise with plenty of financial firepower to lure more of baseball's top players. Well, that is it for your sports. Dawn and Karina, back to you.
Thanks, Zach. We're going to be back in a moment. A couple of the famous U.S. Navy Blue Angel pilots were in North Texas this week ahead of their coming air show. Remember, we want to see your holiday pet photos. Come to our Facebook page or X page, Crossroads Today, to find the link to submit your photos. Happy holidays.
Get those Pictures sent in. And finally, the famous U.S. Navy Blue Angels were in North Texas this week. A couple of pilots conducted a site visit at Naval Air Station Joint Reserve Base Fort Worth Thursday ahead of their 2024 air show there. They toured the base and familiarized themselves with the facilities and airspace in preparation for their upcoming performance. Mark your calendars. They're set to perform at the Wings Over Cowtown Air Show next April. I realize Fort Worth is 6 hours away, so 5 or 6 hours away.
Oh, you would know. You just made that drive.
Trust me, it's about 5 or 6 hours.
Yeah.
I just got back from Arlington right before this show started, so yeah, it's quite the trip. And it was raining today, so that made the trip even tougher.
But if you haven't seen the Blue Angels, check them out.
Yeah.
But now as for tonight's weather.
Well, you won't see the Blue Angels tonight because it's raining, and of course that's the rain Zach was talking about. The front, however, will come through at midnight, and most of the rain will be ending by then. Between now and midnight, you're going to get wet as the shower activity is just about to roll into the city. Good news is Saturday and Sunday will be very, very nice. Lots of sun, cool north winds, and keeping us in the mid to low 60s.
All right. Thank you, Mac. And thanks for joining us.
We hope to see you back here tonight for 25 News Now at 10.